Vinicius Junior was literally one of the worst players to ever wear a Real Madrid shirt.
He's missed it, Vinicius. Ay, ay, ay.
And I'm not even kidding. He was hated by teammates, criticized by pundits, and clowned by fans. Now he's about to win the Ballon d'Or. But how did he do it? Well, this is the story of a player who never gave up, silenced the haters, and is now changing football forever in multiple ways. This is the story of Vinicius Junior. You see, when I told you that Vinicius was trash and hated, I lied to you, partly. Vinicius wasn't always bad and wasn't always hated. Before joining Real Madrid, Vinicius was actually loved, and everybody believed he was the next big thing back Brazil. Vinicius Junior was tearing apart the youth leagues of Brazil while playing for Flamengo's academy. Everybody knew about him in Brazil, and after his outstanding performances in the Copinha, Brazil's most anticipated youth tournament, Vinicius was starting to get recognition all over the world. With all the hype around him, his debut with Flamengo was inevitable. In May 2017, during the game between Flamengo and Atlético Mineiro, the Maracana was going crazy. At just 16 years of age, without ever making his professional debut, Vinicius Junior had the fans of one of the most iconic stadiums in the history of football screaming his name, as they wanted him to debut with the club. Vinicius did in fact get subbed on at the 82nd minute. Vinicius was the most hyped talent in Brazil, the most hyped talent since him.
Goes again. What a move this is! Neymar, does he finish it? Oh! That is sensational! Neymar for Brazil!
Neymar represented the definition of wonder kid to the fullest. He was an icon in Brazil at just 18. He was dominating in the pitch, with amazing skills and dribblings that are almost unthinkable to see in today's football. He even got 10th in the Ballon d'Or rankings while playing for Santos. The reason why I brought Neymar up is because he joined Barcelona and he is remembered as an icon of the club. The trajectory that Vinicius was following was similar to Neymar's. Although he didn't want to stay in Brazil until his early 20s like Ney, he was likely going to join Barcelona. In fact, he loved Neymar, and he also had a preference for another huge Barcelona player.
Quem é melhor, Messi ou Cristiano Ronaldo?
Messi, yes.
Up until this point, everything was fine. Vini was going to join Messi and Neymar in Barcelona and build his legacy there. Barcelona had already offered $25 million for the Brazilian wonder kid. Everybody had no issue with this. Well, everybody apart from Real Madrid. Real Madrid could not allow Barcelona to steal another wonder kid from them. Real Madrid could not allow Barcelona to get another Neymar. And so they disrupted their rivals' plans and offered Flamengo $45 million to sign Vinicius just 1 week after his professional debut. Vinicius had to stay in Brazil one more season. He could have only joined Real Madrid after turning 18. Now the thing is, yes, Vinicius was a massive talent, but was he really worth that amount of money? I mean, unlike Neymar, he didn't really prove himself on the professional stage. So was he really worth $45 million after just 13 minutes of pro football? The answer was no, not at all. Vinicius was just being unveiled by Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. He came off a mediocre season in Flamengo where he wasn't consistent and had so many highs and lows. People were skeptic on his abilities. Some people in Brazil were saying Flamengo successfully scammed Real Madrid by getting all that money. Others believed he had potential. But Vinicius doing this during his presentation certainly didn't help. It wasn't a great start at all for Vinicius in Madrid. On top of all the criticism he got after these fails, he also was moved to the B team of Real Madrid. Now, just imagine how much Vinicius must have been suffering on a mental aspect. Imagine being an 18-year-old guy moving to the biggest club in the world where you also had to kind of replace their greatest player, Ronaldo, who just left in the summer, and with gigantic amounts of pressure on you. And this is your start. And things weren't improving at all for Vinny. His first season wasn't notable at all, with only 1 goal and 5 assists in major competitions, and also a bad injury towards the end of the season. First criticism started to come. Media outlet El Chiringuito started to clown him for his dives. But all of the criticism still couldn't compare to the 2020-2021 season. Vinicius hit absolute rock bottom. He had great games in this season, but was absolutely horrendous in other games. Dribbling was his only great trait, while his finishing abilities were non-existent. He became a meme. Fans started making compilations of his fails. But between all of these misses, there's one that I still personally remember for how bad it was.
Vinicius Junior, he's got Benzema up there with him. Is he going to go alone or can he feed him? He might go alone. Oh, it would have been a fantastic...
It was the Champions League round of 16. Game against a tough side like Atalanta, Real Madrid was up 2-0 on aggregate, and Vinicius threw away this wonderful chance he created all by himself. He did everything perfectly, from the positioning to the dribbling and decision-making. But when it came to the point he had to shoot, he did that horrendous finish. He literally had Ramos desperate in his reaction to this miss. Oh, and speaking of teammates' reaction to Vinicius' atrocious performances, at halftime during a game, Benzema told Ferland Mendy, "Don't pass to him," referring to Vinicius. "On my mother's life, he's playing against us." That's humiliating for a player to be told that about his performances at such a high level. Pundits were going crazy on Vinicius.
Porque a mí me parece que Vinicius está sobrevalorado.
And overall, it was just a season to forget for the Brazilian wonder kid. No matter the fact he had more game time since Hazard was always injured and a complete flop, Vinicius failed to make a great impression. There were no hopes for him, and everybody believed Real Madrid would have done better by selling him. He was one of the symbols of the mediocrity Real Madrid reached after Ronaldo left in 2018, until one man came and changed everything.
I cannot say more. We know Real Madrid's history in this competition, such a famous run, but now you're a record holder. This is your 5th. Fantastic.
I am a record man.
Ancelotti came back to Real Madrid in 2021, and from the first moment, he was Vinicius' biggest supporter.
Tengo mucha perspectiva en el futuro, Rodrigo, Vinicius. Yo nunca he encontrado un jugador perseguido como Vinicius.
Ancelotti é o melhor treinador que eu já tive. Eu sempre tenho um carinho muito grande por ele e ele por mim.
Ancelotti knew that if instead of being pressured and criticized constantly, Vinicius was actually supported and believed in, he could do his best. He knew that all Vinicius needed was some more confidence and to improve his finishing. And in fact, Vinicius had a wonderful start of the season, topped by the Player of the Month award received in November. And throughout the whole season, he would score goals after goals after goals, becoming the 3rd La Liga top scorer. And between all of these goals, there was the Champions League final goal, the goal that sealed the Champions League win for Real Madrid in one of the most spectacular campaigns ever from a club. Vinicius ended the season with 42 goal contributions in 52 games, numbers that would have been unthinkable a season before. But he didn't leave all his problems in the past.
Si al final marca un gol y decide bailar, pues es lo que ha querido hacer, ¿no?
Si quieres bailar samba, te vas a Sambódromo en Brasil. Aquí tú lo que tienes que hacer es respetar a tus compañeros de profesión y dejar de hacer el mono.
Vinicius was becoming way too good, so people couldn't criticize him for his performances. They had to attack something else. And this time it was about his celebration and skin color. You see, Vinicius would always do those typical Brazilian dances after scoring, but all of a sudden it was a problem. For Koke, Vinny would have gotten in big trouble if he did that in the game they were about to play between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. Do you think Vinny cared? Of course not. Real Madrid won the game against Atletico 2-1, and Vinicius and Rodrigo danced in front all of the stadium. But what happened before and throughout this game was just the start of a long Vinicius hate train that still goes on today. Racism towards him started, with opposition fans calling him a monkey and wishing for his death. And it wasn't a single isolated episode. It happened again and again and again. But the worst moment happened during one of the last matches of the La Liga 2022-23 season, in the game between Valencia and Real Madrid. Vinicius couldn't take it anymore and broke down crying in the middle of the game. The game was suspended, but after 6 minutes, the teams were allowed to play again. And in the last minutes of the game, Vinicius was given an unfair red card. What happened to this game quickly shocked all the world. Everyone was standing with Vinicius.
Insultan todo el tiempo a Vinicius y después al final le sacan la tarjeta roja. ¿De qué estamos hablando? No, estoy muy triste. Somos en el 2023. El racismo no tiene que existir.
Although his season was ruined by these horrendous moments, his performances on the pitch only got better, and he was undeniably Real Madrid's MVP during this season. But his attitude changed.
I think the Vinny one was a good one.
Are you taking that as a disrespect?
Yeah, no, it's disrespectful. Yeah.
Vinicius started throwing away all his sportsmanship by becoming more and more annoying and constantly trash-talking and disrespecting other players on the pitch, starting fights, provoking and taunting.
95 yards away from the Real Madrid goal.
People think Vinicius does it because he turned into a bad person all of a sudden. I see it in a different way. I feel like Vinicius is just frustrated, and he releases all the anger through this type of behavior. I feel like Vinicius is just misunderstood, and that's what makes his story so beautiful. In a world that admires his skill but criticizes his attitude, he still keeps performing no matter what. Despite all the hate, Vinicius has just had his best season ever, with another Champions League final win and goal. He's the favorite to win the Ballon d'Or, which will be announced 2 days after this video is posted. I feel like he'll win, but regardless of the Ballon d'Or, Vinicius needs to be appreciated more because he's one of the last footballers of a dying breed, the pure Brazilian footballers, and is also the symbol of a fight against a much bigger enemy, racism. If you hate Vinicius, I hope this video changed your mind. And also, speaking of Ballon d'Ors, I made a video on a player who came really close to winning the award a couple years ago. He has a wonderful story too, so you better watch it.